I'm going to be talking a similar sort of topic on contributing to Copilot dev samples. So the subject of this today is Copilot Extensibility Unleashed. We've got a library of samples that everyone can leverage. So, oops, that totally changed to the. So I'm just gonna. This is where I just missed a step. My bad. So I just want to introduce myself. I'm Paul Bullock. I've been part of PMP for nearly 6 years now, actually. So I've been around a bit. So I'm a script samples owner. Been blogging, an MVP as well in Copilot Extensibility and M365 development. And many of you probably know me for many of my bad jokes and puns. So I don't really apologize, but I kind of do. So, and if you want, you can check out my website. I'm going to jump straight into demo. So this is me playing with demo time, which is a great new extension that I've had 10 seconds to use. So sorry for the slight snafu there, but that's cool. So what I want to talk to you about is a bit like what David presented. So you've got Copilot dev samples here. I'm doing in dark mode because well, actually that's my default setting, so I didn't change that. So in dark mode, I will show you how this all works. So as part of PMP, obviously Copilot Pro dev samples. If you have the opportunity to watch David's demo earlier, check that out. He goes into a bit more detail on how to contribute, so certainly check that out. But for me, make sure that when you're in this repo, if you want to contribute to this, hit fork. It will pop up with a repository. I've already done this ahead of time anyway, so select yourself in there and then create that fork, and then that will be available to you. And then it will look something like this. So you've got your space is basically a copy of your code, so that you can then submit that contribution. Now I want to create a declarative agent for Copilot. I have set this up in code space. So what I've got here is I've got a space for this set of demos. I'm using code spaces as the way that I author this. So I'm basically building a Copilot agent in the browser in GitHub code spaces. So to use that. So just to switch back to the actual code space itself, I can tell it's a code space. It's got a really funky URL. Silver Fiesta is the I had something potato last time I used this, which I really like the name of. So so you get this sort of dev space. The main differences between the two is one's browser based. This one's more like a VM, where you've got like a small compute space where you can develop your code and so forth. So I'm just going to break out of the demo time thing here. So just so I'm in presenter mode. My bad. Do you know what? This is completely. I have to refresh. That's why I'm having difficulties. Because it's gone to sleep. But essentially, so this is a VS Code instance. Here we go. We've got all the bars and stuff here. I'm in a mode where I can't see everything. What is going on? Okay, so I will try and muddle through. So essentially, what I have got here on the, do you know what? Sorry, I'm having a bit of a demo fail on this interface. So essentially, I'll have a set of extensions on the side here. They are not showing at all, which is very, very kind of them. So there is. 1 second. Something has definitely gone squiffy on this one. I have actually lost the interface. Oh, do you know what? I'm going to come out of this and just get back into it. Sorry about this, everybody. I will get back into this. Luckily, we have. I need to do that one. Luckily, we've got plenty of time. So I'm going to go back into this just to restart up the code space. Hopefully, the Explore bar is back. It's not. Thank you very much. think this is going to be a bit of an issue. So I'm going to do this a slightly different way, because what I was going to show you on the extensions panel, which is typically on the left-hand side, if this is on my local machine, I'd see that, and you can see that now. Yes, I would open a desktop, but I've not configured this demo for this, so I'll model on without it. So essentially, you've got an extension called M365 Agents Toolkit that you need to install. So I'm going to use the F1 tools anyway, and then just bring it here. So what I want to do is I want to create a new agent or application. Hopefully that will load. So it will load that. So typically you'd click on an icon and there would be like a green box that you'd click. There it is in my interface for creating an agent. So what I want to do is create a decorative agent. I'm just going to hit copy to the code there. And then I don't want any action. I'm just going to set my workspace a minute. So I need to navigate up, because it's a bit like a Linux VM actually. So what I want to do is I want to set that there and then there. So what that means is it's creating my agent in that toolkit, right? Okay. I'll create the application name, which is an agent called the PNP Script Samples agent. So it's something that I've been toying with. So what that'll do is that'll create the agent. It will then pop it in the window here. It will load up and so forth. So this is a fully functioning agent. I'm just going to switch back, because what I've done is I've actually pre-baked a lot of the assets for this. So I've got images. I'm just going to run through my demo time examples. So images, I want to populate the instructions file. So this comes with your agent, just to type that in. So that's all in place. As you can see here on the navigation experience here, you've got these files being populated. I want to show you the manifest as well. So this is like just a description of your application. So a bit of details about you. It's filling out the developer information, then the description. So make sure that users know what it is. And then that's all sort of all pre-populated. This next one is the slightly more interesting one. So this is what it is. I'm upgrading the schema to 1.5, which was just released like a few days ago. I saw a notification on LinkedIn, which is cool. So there are some new capabilities that have come with decorative agents, which has come through. So what I've done is I've gone through and put in the capability. So that is choosing what data source you want for your decorative agent. And I've targeted the GitHub project of script samples. Don't at the moment target the navigation sites. They don't currently work because they're for some reason not being indexed by Bing, so they won't show up in the results. So, but the GitHub repos are fine. You've also got the conversation starters, which will then find a script, suggested code sample, and contributions, for example. And then there's these new 2 blocks at the bottom that I've added. So you've got disclaimer. So if you want to provide some sort of warranty information or some statement that you want to notify the users, just to show what that is. And this is actually new as part of schema 1.5, so you can switch to that. And also the behavior overrides as well. So this is another block where you can disable the suggestion. So you don't want it to provide, it provides like a little 3-pill like descriptions below your prompts, so suggestions. And then you've got the special instructions. So what that will allow you to do is basically stop using the model's knowledge. So if you want it to explicitly only use the data sources that you provide, which is something that I want to do as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to switch over to the other tab here, because that's the way. See, it's working in this interface. The way, which is good, really, because I want to deploy this. The way that M365 Agents Toolkit works is it have to be the parent folder has to be the whole agent, not just the subfolder, as you can see in the other tab. So I'm already connected to my tenant anyway, but what I want to do is just go ahead and provision that just to show you that in operation at the moment. So give me a couple of seconds. As you might have noticed, I've got quite a few references to other initiatives I've got going on. So I feel like a power socket with loads of plugs in it. So in this demo. So hopefully that will pop through, which is cool. Yep. So what I want to do now is, it's behind my pill, but I'm going to go over here and we should see, just going to refresh this interface. A few things actually. Firstly, I've got my PNP script samples, partial, appeared in here as well. The other thing is the interface has changed. So I timed this demo really well because there's a few new things that were introduced recently. So you've got the new agent interface, which shows in the middle now, not at the bottom. That disclaimer statement is also showing for you as well. For some reason, it's not rendering, but it also will now attribute your name. So if the developer information you put at the beginning, that will now show in this agent. And so just as an example, just to show you it connecting to the data source. Thank you, Don. Actually, I might try that on the other one. Let's give that a go when this is run through. So that's run through. As you can see, it's responded as well. It's linked to the repo. But if I say, tell me some information about bananas, for example, you will then find that it won't respond to you because we've turned off the model knowledge, and because we've only targeted the script samples, and my repo doesn't have any information about bananas. Sadly, I feel like I should, but I don't. It responds accordingly. So you can remove the model knowledge from your responses, which is in some scenarios quite useful as well. So what we're going to do is we've got this agent. We're going to go back to this sample repository. Now I want to contribute to ProDev samples, as David recently just shown. I'm going to take this whole agent and I want to move it over to that repo. So typically you'd have an agent in a repo that you own, another one, and then you've got a fork. So there's a few repos in play here. So I'm just trying to, hopefully you can bear with me and you can walk through. So I'm going to open up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to clone the repo. So if you haven't done this before, on your repo, you've got a little code box, and then you've got a little statement there where you can copy it, and then you can do a git clone. So just because I've already prepped this, I'm just going to clone it now. And so what that does is it pulls down all your code locally onto the code space, so you can then change the code. So I'll give that 1 second. And there we go. So I'm just going to do dir just to show that. So we've got this community demo one is the one that I'm based the whole framework for this demo anyway. And then you've got the repo that I'm submitting to. So what I want to next do is I want to copy this agent over to this. So I'm using a copy command. Obviously, David's shown you a UI way of doing it. So this is another way you can do it within code spaces as well. So that has copied over into that repo. And then what I want to do is navigate to that. And then what you can do is then do code open. And then what it'll do is open up another tab. And then that will focus on like a code space that's focused on this repo. Now, what I have done to slightly pre-can this demo is, firstly, it's copied over the agent over to the repository. I've also got some demo files as part of demo time, so please ignore those in that. But they're not relevant to the submission process. Firstly, I don't know if you noticed on David's one, Captain Courageous, so you've got this DA sort of naming. You've got this sort of naming convention. So firstly, rename your folder, which I'm just going to quickly run a command to do because I've bit lazy, so I just want a button. But typically you would just do a simple rename, so it's a bit more consistent with the rest of the repo. The other thing you would need to do is create an assets folder. So with the solution sample gallery, in order to get your sample to that repository, what you need is a JSON file that contains a series of metadata. So in the repo, in Copilot ProDev samples, under templates folder, we do have these sample files here. So we've got sample template JSON. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that sample template JSON file over to the new sample, like so. And you'll see it pop up here, and also rename it. So it's basically called sample.json. and then that will be ready for you to populate. And what this does is there is actually a service that crawls all the repos, all of our PNP repos actually, that then brings all these sample files, which is acting like metadata for your sample, into the solution sample gallery, so that you can then, customize the way it looks and things like that with images and metadata. So you've got a bit of control over how it would render. We do have a standard, so I'm just going to run you through that. So I'm just going to open that up now. And as you can see here, this is the template. We've got, as you can see, these sort of markers here. So I'm just going to go through this: creation dates, metadata, thumbnails, and then authors. So it's not big. Again, a lot of our other repos have similar metadata that needs to be populated in order to submit your sample. So I'm just going to highlight this. So the first one is your sample name. It's used in a few places. So what I'm going to do is just do a find and replace on that one, just so that it's so I'm using, sorry, I use keyboard command there, so I use Control H, and then what you need it to do, I've kind of cheated with the demo time to actually populate my clipboard. So your sample name should be populated with the same folder name that you're submitting under. So just replace that. And then the next one is the title. So it's just use here. So that's not too bad. I'm just going to replace that here, and then paste that in. And then we've got PNP script samples agent, which is the title of your application. So it's like a friendly title for your submission. And then we've got the short description, which is used here, and here actually there's a couple of them in place. So I'm just going to do a find and replace on that very quickly, and then that will get you that. So again, I've put that into the clipboard and paste that. But again, make it descriptive. What I have done is, just to make it easy, I've just used the because I put that in the application manifest originally, so I just reused the same description from that manifest. And you can do that, as long as it tells people what the agent does, and that's great. Importantly, update the dates, because obviously the dates need to be now. So make sure that you're submitting this as today. Otherwise, it'll be submitted in the past and perhaps won't show as the latest sample in the gallery. We do look for these things when people submit, but yeah. The next one is the metadata. So this one's quite straightforward, hopefully. Just for Extensibility agent, Copilot, JSON, because it's JSON based. Does it use an API plugin? No, not in this example. And graph connector, probably should consider possibly removing that. We've got a separate repo for that, but yeah, that's set to no as well. The next thing you want to do is update the thumbnail. So again, I've pre-baked this slightly. So this has to be the location of the file within your repo. So in your sample that you're submitting, under assets, you've got script samples preview. Here's a preview image that I did. I took this just before the UI update. As you can see, it looks a bit different there. So just to show what Microsoft have recently done, I do need to update that image. That's a task on me, but that's cool. I just wanted to show that there. So it gives people a sense of what it's supposed to do when you do install this into an environment with a M365 Copilot license. So the next thing I want to do is get rid of the video thumbnail. I'm not going to be producing a video for this, so just scrub that out. And then, quite importantly for you, because you're doing all this effort, is to make sure that you put your details of your GitHub account so that we can attribute you. So as you saw on the solution sample gallery, you can filter by author and by account. So this is where that metadata is fed into it. So yeah, and that's all of the sample JSON files. So the next and last thing that we would need to take care of is the README file. So just to very quickly, because I just created an agent for you in front of you, it's obviously got the boilerplate descriptions. Let me just get rid of that, and that can be quite standard. But we've got a slightly different format. So what I recommend is to rename your README to an old, and then just copy our template over here. So I've got, again, there's a README template file. I won't walk through creating the whole thing, but this is the kind of format that we're looking for. So just a summary, who the contributors are. Again, attribute yourself or any people that you've worked with, because it's just a little path to awesome. And then make sure that you reference your folder at the end here, because we've got a tracking image on the repos. So that's all of the samples created. So next thing you need to do is you can notice there's a slightly higher than 14 that was demoed. It's because of my demo files that's probably throwing that off. So what you would then need to do is then stage the contribution. I'm going to put it as initial commit. Yeah, and then I'm going to push that to the I don't have that. Oh, right. Okay. No, okay. I won't show that bit. That's fine because David covered that anyway. So typically, what would happen anyway is it would get pushed up into ProDev samples, into your. Sorry, that's not your one. It's the other one. Like that. I've got a thing with the window. 1 second. So it would appear in here typically, and then what you do is then hit on that contribute button. There will be a green button saying create a create a pull request, and then you can submit that accordingly. So that's it for the demo. I just wanted to show you the contribution experience, just to show you how to get that into the repo. I think the reason why it didn't work is because there's a permissions issue, but I need to clean that up later. But yeah, that's how you would get it into that. There are other ways of doing this. You can do this on a local desktop. It's probably slightly easier, or you can do it in the browser if you're roaming around. So there's loads of ways you can contribute to this. Filling out the files, as you saw there, is typically the sort of standard way to submit these samples for this repo. Different repos, just to know, different repos have slightly different rules. Have a look at their contributing documentation, and that will help you out in your journey to contribute. So that's it for me. Back to you, Hugo. Thank you very much for everybody listening.